You've gone your whole life and you've never seen anything made in your own image. There is damage done.
When I think of Barbie, I see a little white doll with blue eyes in all pink. That's what I think.
I just found Barbie to be a little light-skinned.
Years ago, there were no black dolls. They were all white dolls.
Little white girls, they could see possibility in their Barbies. And there was nothing that I can relate to.
This is me, the creator of Barbie. At Mattel, I worked on the lines. She would say, do you have any suggestions? I was able to say, we want a black Barbie.
That was a little act of revolution.
Crowning this doll as Barbie was telling the world black is beautiful too.
I'm a black magic girl.
I designed Black Barbie to reflect the total look of a black woman.
She's black, she's beautiful, she's dynamite.
I thought Black Barbie felt magical.
From a young age, children can learn about inclusiveness.
Really pretty, has locks, just like me.
Black Barbie was just taking me to a whole different world.
I knew Black Barbie was different, but I never realized the magnitude.
When did you first fall in love with Black Barbie?
When I first got one in my hand.
Now please welcome panelists Stacey McBride-Irby, doll designer and diversity consultant. Kitty Black Perkins, former chief designer of fashions and doll concepts, Mattel. And moderator Terry Broussard-Williams, ForbesBLK National Advisory Board member.
All right, you guys look so beautiful. I want you to imagine being given a task, and it's a blank masterpiece. You can create anything, but you create something that will shift a culture, change a generation, and create a pathway for professionals that follow in your footsteps. Today, I am pleased to introduce you to what I call the most incredible relay team, Kitty Black Perkins and Stacey McBride-Irby. Let's give them a round of applause. These two boss babes aren't just fashion icons, they are culture shifters. I have to take a moment just to list their accomplishments. Kitty was the first Black woman to serve as chief designer at Mattel and creator of the first Black Barbie. Yes. Stacey created the Black Barbie line called So in Style and the first sorority Barbie that just so happens to be an Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority incorporated woman. Sorors, let me see those pinkies. Y'all, I can't get enough of this style-stealing, history-making duo. But let's get to it. Kitty, you worked with Netflix on the Juneteenth release Black Barbie documentary. I watched it, and by the end, I was in tears. I'll tell you all why before we close today, but it educated me on so much history. Before watching the documentary, Barbie was just a doll, and I had 50 of them I'd play with all the time, but your story brought them to life. In the movie, I learned that you at Mattel started in 1976. Stacey and I were talking backstage, we're both 70s babies, shout out to us. But I want you all to see that as a marker of time. So you were walking into this all-white environment in 1976 with a dream of designing, but also during a time when organizations like Operation Bootstrap worked hard to ensure that African Americans had the technical skills to work at places like Mattel. I'd love for you just to tell us what it was like. What were you doing and thinking on that first day?
Well, I have to tell you, the first day that I went to Mattel to do the interview was very, very, it was difficult in some ways, and it was rewarding in others, in that when I walked into Mattel, I had a recruiter. And she gave me directions on what I was supposed to do. And I did that. I did all of that. She said not to worry about the cost or anything like that, just to make sure that my designs were nice and all of that if I wanted to get the job. Well, I did everything she told me to do. I went out and I bought the finest of silks. I gave her a big hat. I did everything that a fashion doll should look like, and she was absolutely gorgeous.
Like you.
I took it back, and they said to me, I'm sorry. Mattel could never produce anything like this. And instead of going away, just taking it, I called back, and I said, look, I was given the wrong direction. I want a second chance. So they gave it to me. So instead of doing one doll, I did 6. I took them back. I was hired on the spot. And all 6 of those dolls went into the line that year.
It's incredible.
It was fantastic. So I actually was hired. I walked into Mattel for the very first time, and I was greeted by Beulah Mitchell, who was a secretary in the facilities department. And of course, every Black person in the company came to visit me, which was great. And of course, maybe you could count them on your hand. It wasn't very many. But I felt very welcome from the start. So when I started to design the Black Barbie doll, I had total autonomy over the doll. And I was told to design it the way that I wanted it, and there was no questions about it.
It's incredible. I even sit here, having watched the movie and listening to you talk, you have been divinely led throughout the way. And y'all, if you haven't seen the documentary yet, one of my favorite parts is when Beulah and Kitty are talking, and Beulah looks at you, and she's like, you were the Black Barbie in your convertible car. So I love hearing that they had a homecoming for you at the start. You know, yes. You felt that creativity, you felt that love. And as I was watching the movie, I saw the 3 of you, Beulah, you, and Stacey, this incredible relay team, right?
Yes.
Beulah paved the way for you, and she said, she made the request, which led to you being there. She said, we need a Black Barbie. And then here you are creating that Black Barbie. And then here comes Stacey, your mentee, and you extend that relay, that baton to her, and you're like, go and run. And so I truly would love to hear from you. What was it like, you know, forging the way of your own career, but also creating pathway for a mentee like Stacey?
Well, I have to tell you, Stacey was one of a kind in her own being. Stacey came to me I had advertised that I was looking for a designer. Stacey came, she had this folder that had all of these articles in it. And so we sat, I told her what I expected of her as a designer. We went through her qualifications, all of her experience, all of that. And I said to her that I needed her to take a doll home and dress it and bring it back along with all of her patterns so that I could check to see if she could actually do the work. Well, she was packing up to go, and then this folder falls and all these articles fall out of me. Okay? She did this on purpose. She did it on purpose because I know. She dropped all this stuff, and I'm looking at these articles with my picture all over them and stuff. So she said, oh, I'm sorry. She started picking them up. And I said, Stacey did that on purpose, but it's what got her the job.
The Lord did that.
Yes, He will make a way.
But she was qualified, so I couldn't say anything. But it felt really, really good to have another Black person in my group, and and she was so enthusiastic. She wanted to learn. She was just so bubbly, and she was creative, and just all of this energy coming out into the Barbie group, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
I love it, and I'm here for that energy. Stacey, I turn to you. At what age did you know you were interested in fashion? Who were your inspiration? Okay. And you had this Secret Service file on Kitty. Was she always your inspiration?
Well, Barbie, she's Black Barbie, so Barbie was actually my inspiration. I played with Barbie until I was around 13, so that's kind of old to be playing with Barbie at the time. But Barbie inspired me to be a fashion designer because I loved all her clothes, mix and matching her fashions, creating hairstyles for her to go with the fashions. And when I got 13, I actually started drawing more and creating my own fashions. And my dad was creative, so he was my inspiration as well as Kitty and Barbie. And here we are today. I couldn't imagine being a Black Barbie designer at Mattel at the time when I was 13. So, my inspiration.
It's incredible. So I want to turn to business. We're here today, as part of this Forbes Summit, so we have to talk a little business. Mm-hmm. Now, you left Mattel in 2011 to start your own line of dolls called the One World Doll. I want you to share a little bit about your business. So many of us, so many African Americans excel in corporate America, yet they're afraid to take that leap of faith to start their own business. Okay. What steps did you take? What obstacles did you overcome? And truly give us a look under the hood of your business.
Okay, so I'm going to have a candid moment with you guys. Is that okay? Okay, so when I was at Mattel, I created the Sew and Style line of dolls. Great publicity. I was able to go on the UNCF Empower Me tour. I was a mother of 2, and I didn't have much work-life balance. So I'm like, okay. When I met at the UNCF Empower Me tour, I met my co-founder of the One World Doll Project. And he asked me, he was like, so what is your dream? What is your goal? What do you want to do? And I said, my dream is to create a line of fashion dolls kind of reflective of American Girl. And he was like, well, let's do it. I did not expect that, I did not expect that response, and it kind of scared me. I'm like, is this time for me to leave Mattel? So I put in my 2 weeks notice.
Wow.
I was able to leave Mattel because I didn't want to fail as a parent. I just felt like I needed to balance my life, and I didn't want to fail as a parent. So I chose my children and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tell us a little more what that looks like. How have you allowed your business to thrive? What are the skills? Talk about your margins. Help us understand how you define growth.
Okay, so that's another thing. I had a business partner. I was basically the creative director. I did the networking with former Mattel employees to create the new sculpt for a new body, the hair design team. I had an executive that used to work at Mattel who was an engineer. So he got us the manufacturing plant. We vetted out 3 manufacturing plants, went to China for 2 weeks. So I was that side of the business. And then my co-founder, he was the business side who got the investors and that team together. So I can't really talk about the numbers, but I do know that we landed in Walmart on shelf. So
okay, that's incredible. So if you had a bottom line that you were the creative force, you did what you did well, and you had a business partner that could take care of the details to make sure the business was thriving.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now I have a question for both of you. I would love for you to speak about how you blend your creative inspiration and business. You know, you two aren't just designers. You know, you are businesswomen, and you also serve as business consultants in the diversity space or the doll space. So how important is it to operate from both sides of that coin, the creative coin and also the consulting coin?
Well, I actually took a lesson from Mattel, and I watched every aspect that we had to go through in order to get our doll to market. And one of the things that I know that was real important is you cannot just create something and put it there and expect people to understand it and know how to market it and all of that. So after I did my design, I actually had to sell it to the company. That in itself was an experience that I had never experienced before. I had to go up several levels because there's several levels of marketing. There's like the lower level, and then of course their boss, and then their boss, and it goes all the way up to the vice president. Then you have to sell it to the sales force. Well, I'll share with you guys one little story that is really, really funny. How many people know about the movie White Christmas with Bing Crosby singing? Okay. I had to present my doll, my holiday Barbie, which was the one with the white, in all white with white fur. I had to present that doll to the sales force. And I had stayed up all night trying to get the doll together, trying to do everything that I needed to do to make the doll absolutely perfect. Well, I created a doll stand that was actually like a present. And it had a bow on the lid of it. Well, when you lift the lid, the walls of the box fell open, and that was my display stand. And there in the center was Holiday Barbie, okay? She was beautiful. She was in a white gown. She had white fur. She reminded me of the movie White Christmas. And because I had not slept that night, and I was exhausted, all of that, I was speechless. Here I am with this doll, laying on the table, absolutely gorgeous, and I have nothing to say. So what do? I broke out in song. I started singing White Christmas. And I have to tell you, I cannot sing, okay? But with that being my presentation, after I finished singing, I said, and this is your 1982 Holiday Barbie White Christmas. And of course, I got a standing ovation. But the point is that you have to actually be able to sell your product. You can't just do it and sit it. It has to go through all of these stages. So I had to learn that very quickly. It's the same way with Black Barbie. When I designed Black Barbie, there was a lot of questions around her hair, her skin tone, her features, and all of that. So I had to explain all of that. They wanted to know, because one of the main play patterns for our Barbie dolls is the hair play. And because I chopped off all of Black Barbie's hair, they wanted to know, well, where's the hair play? And I said, well, hey, I gave her a pick. You know, it's not like she had to have a comb, so that was cool. They also wanted to know, well, she doesn't have a big ball gown. So I said, well, She has a slim silhouette because I got my inspiration from Diana Ross and the Supremes. And every time they go on stage, they're absolutely gorgeous. And if I were a singer or an entertainer or anybody, I would actually look like Diana Ross. Now, Diana Ross has a designer who is very famous, Bob Mackie, and he's designed for people like Cara Burnett, Cher, Diana Ross, and he actually is commissioned by Mattel to do a doll a year. So he has a lot of involvement with Barbie. Well, this in itself was an inspiration for me. So when I designed Black Barbie, I wanted to give her bold jewelry. I wanted her to have a slim silhouette. She has a wider nose. Her lips are a little bit thicker than Barbie. And I wanted her to be the opposite of what white Barbie was, because that in itself is what made her number one. Yes. So Barbie is the number one fashion doll in the world, not just the industry, in the world, because Barbie is sold across the country. And she has 1 billion+ fashions. And I feel good that I was able to contribute to her 1 billion+ fashion. So I made a big dent in that. So with Barbie being number one, then what that does, it elevates Black Barbie to that position because her name is Barbie.
That is a lesson in itself.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. We don't have much time left, ladies. We have about 10 minutes left. I would love to call for a slide just so you can see the evolution of Barbie. And these are 3 looks that you'll see when we get the slide up. This is the first Black Barbie. And this is the prototype right here. Isn't that incredible? Literally the one that Kitty used to make it. You'll see that iteration of how Barbie went from something like this to something more life-size. But we want to bring you something special, something that's never been done before at a ForbesBLK Summit. So we are going to wrap this up, but first we're going to hear from someone special. If I can have the incredible actor and fashion enthusiast, Atlanta's own Miss Lawrence. Give it up for Miss Lawrence. He is here live as a Black Barbie who is fabulous.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. I want you to quickly share some thoughts of where you see the future of fashion, especially as it relates to fluidity and inclusion.
I see the future of fashion continuing its quest to really blur the lines, the gender lines when it comes to fashion. I think that there is a strong presence of masculine and feminine energy in all of us, and I think that fashion and style should reflect and be an example of who we are on the inside. And I think we'll see more of that in the future of fashion. I think it's necessary, and I think people will continue this upsurge of being unafraid and unapologetic about how they express themselves through fashion.
Yeah, and you teach us that every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Kitty.
How about we get
Stacey.
some looks, girl? Let's get some looks. So we're going to bring out some incredible ForbesBLK members and some local advisory board members who will bring you their very own version of Barbie-inspired looks. We're going to start with Erin Hardaway. She's a ForbesBLK member. And Erin is inspired by Operation Bootstrap, so she is the Erin Barbie. Kitty and Stacey, feel free to share some of your thoughts as we see these incredible models. Up next is Deanna Mangum, who is a ForbesBLK member, and she is Sporty Couple Barbie because with her is Kurt Mangum, another ForbesBLK member, who is Barbie's sporty couple accessory, also known as Ken. We like to call Ken Barbie's accessory, don't we? Miss Etopia Lane is a ForbesBLK New York City Advisory Council member. She is retro Barbie with a New York state of mind. We love you representing the Big Apple. Next up is Brandy Sims, who was a part of the ForbesBLK Austin Advisory Council. Brandy is incredible. I know her in real life. We live in the same city. And she is pretty much on brand because she is booked and busy, as always. Thank you, Brandy. And after Brandy, we have Sean Ellen Ray. He's a ForbesBLK member. He's Derby Atlantican. Come on, Sean. And now, in conclusion, for our final look of inspiration and in tribute to one of our queens of culture. Kitty, this is from one of your designs, so you'll know this. But it's so much fun to see that we have a live Diana Ross doll. Miss Erica Wiltz, will you please come out? Look how stunning.
This particular outfit was inspired by Bob Mackie. He did a 2004 doll of Diana Ross. And this was actually what she looked like. Fabulous.
To a T. I have one final question for you. Miss Diana Ross, if you don't mind, just step in here for a second. Yes. We have about 5 minutes left, so if you can quickly answer this question. What is on the horizon for 2025, ladies?
Oh, gee.
Well, for me, I am doing some diversity consultant because businesses need African American, more dolls or culture. So I am consulting with a couple of toy companies. And also, I want to try this business thing out again. So
yes, we love this for you.
That's in the horizon. MSI toys, maybe. You know, we're going to try this out. So I'm not giving up on my dream.
I am actually, I've been called back to Mattel to yes, to do the 2025 Black Barbie doll. So it will hit the market in 2025.
It's so incredible. And we also have to take a moment and just give a shout out to Netflix. No one told me to do this, but when I think about it, they gave you all this incredible opportunity to tell a story about your love, and it's real, the story of your career, to inspire us once again. Right. You know, even I realized when we were preparing for this that my mother has that AKA Barbie doll next to the china in the curio cabinet, and y'all, if you have that doll, it is worth $3,000. They're helping us become doll collectors. You know, so I often say there are these people in the world called fire starters. And a fire starter is someone that sees something that others ignore. But they take a moment to recognize it and to take action. They take that first step to turn that moment into a movement. And you all embody this. You know, I was in tears at the end of the documentary. You know, I am someone who holds the titles of first of many, just like you all. At my company, I'm the first lobbyist at the firm that's 102 years old. But when I think about it, you've created this with a doll. You've created the opportunity for, you know, Rihanna to have Fenty and Sephora, for dolls to be inclusive, for Barbies to have hips. Y'all, come on now. You all did that, but you did it in this way that taught us sisterhood, that taught us mentorship, that taught us entrepreneurship. So on behalf of all of us, thank you. Just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be ourselves every day. I wore braids last week at work, y'all. You know, because of you. So I'll end there, and I'll ask the rest of our Barbies to come out so we can have one more look at them and be inspired by their fashion, the now, the next, what's later to come in 2025. We will be talking about your documentary and your awesome doll and your awesome line and all the things.
Oh,
And let's give it up for these ForbesBLK members just one more time. Thank you all. We're going to join you so we can get some pictures.
I'm so sorry.
You're an accessory, right? Yes, ma'am. Ken is an accessory to Barbie. So
Thank
you're
you
an
all.
accessory to your...
Let's give them another round of applause. Yes.
100%. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.